أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum to everyone and Ramadan Mubarak. This is Aneesah Dawan here in Little Rock, Arkansas, coming to you live on this fine day of Ramadan. We have to give thanks to Allah for allowing us to continue this platform as our dear sister Fitrah has so diligently pursued and planned out. And those speakers have so graciously accepted and been willing to continue, and you all have so sincerely devoted yourselves to attend and to pay attention. So all of those things are needed, and we keep having all of them. So we keep having study al-Islam. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأجمعين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد عبده ورسوله. We seek refuge with Allah from the rejected Satan with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We openly bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah alone. He has no partners, and we openly bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. We ask that the prayers and the peace be upon Muhammad, upon his family, and upon us all. I greet you all once again with the peace and blessings of Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak. Alhamdulillah, happy to be here. I'm enjoying my month of Ramadan as my work is my worship. So everything that I'm doing is worship. So it's like there's like benefit after benefit after benefit. And how we go into the Shahr Ramadan is how we are in the Ramadan, right? So the things that we've done over the course of the year, how we move in is the benefits that we've received. So in coming into study al-Islam, there's never really a break. We have those small breaks in between session to session between Ramadan and the sessions that are delivered through the year. But the study has continued. So what happens naturally is that there's just an increase, right? There's just a magnitude of benefit. So this Shahr Ramadan, the idea was to take a look at those attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is what we have been doing, and those attributes that I selected, they weren't assigned to me, we actually did select them. The ones that I selected was Al-Ghafur, Ash-Shakur, and Al-Ali. So that's what we'll be going over today. The Ghafur, Ash-Shakur, and Al-Ali. And inshallah, we're going to look at Ghafur and Shakur together because so this is the month of Quran, right? So Ramadan is the month of Quran. The Quran was descended to the human being by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to have a greater understanding of Allah's attributes that are delivered to us in the Quran, then we are to better understand the Quran and understand that which Allah has revealed to us of himself. Okay? And so what Allah, he literally reveals himself to us through these attributes, right? It is literally through these attributes that we know of Allah, that we understand of Allah. We can't know everything of Allah. So even in knowing that there's this understanding that we have the 99 attributes, even when you think about, you say these 99 attributes, and we always think of 100 being a whole reality, right? 100 being a whole reality. And so you say these 99 attributes. Allah is giving us the reality that there is no attaining of the wholeness of Allah, right? Allah, right? In the name that you understand Allah through those attributes, but then there's so many more attributes that Allah exhibits that are existing of Allah. There's a reality of Allah that we don't know, but us consuming this 99 is like we so filled up that it's like we couldn't take the rest of them, right? We'd be like the mountain when Allah presented itself when Allah presented the majesty of Allah to the mountain of this a small idea when talking with Moses and Musa alayhi salam, and the mountain like just disseminated, right? It was just obliterated. It's like bam, it's like nothing. It's just gone, right? And so if we can understand, that's us, right? These 99 is enough, right? We're filling up. So, and I know the tank is like partially there, right? So let's go on to Ghafur. We're going to start with Ghafur, inshallah, taking a look at that. And so one thing, and I'll tell you resourceful wise, I'm not sure everything as far as resource, but these attributes are in the Quran, right? So if you have like that brown dictionary of the Quran, you're able to go into any whatever attributes that you see of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. If you know the roots, and the roots are usually pretty clear in this. So you know that root, you can find that particular word, and you can really gain even for your own self more study and understanding of the term, especially when you relate it to all of the other things that also are given by that particular root word, right? So in Ghafur, we know that Ghafar, right, is going to be our root. Ghain, Fa, Ra. And with Ghafar, right, if you were just to look at a basic understanding of the word, if I just take the base of that word Ghafar, it literally means to cover, right, to hide, conceal, to forgive, give protection, right? All of those are inside of the definition of Ghafar. Sometimes when we say we say astaghfirullah, right? We say to ask Allah for forgiveness, right? To seek Allah's forgiveness. Astaghfirullah, right? Well, the saying of the forgiveness or the seeking of forgiveness is actually and even when we say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, right? I seek refuge with Allah. That is a different reality than what you have when you talk about ghafur and protection. Okay, so I'm saying I'm seeking protection in one area, and then in this other instance, I'm using ghafara, and I'm saying that it literally means forgiveness, but it also means to gain a certain level of protection. One thing in studying the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is inshallah, I know most of you all have seen it, right? And as we go through, you'll really see it because you'll start to see where some of the attributes, the root of them is the same, right? So you have your, it's similar to Rahman. That's one that we are readily aware of. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, right? Rahman and Rahim, they both come from Rahman. But what is going on inside of the structure is what changes the attribute of Allah. And so here it is that you have these two things, that the root is the same, but the benefits are different. Right? The roots are the same, but the benefits are different. They're not exemplified what Allah is giving to you in the small little intricacies, and the details are going to be different. So when we're looking at this ghafur, right, we're going to have another right attribute, right, that gives the same root but a different implied meaning. So inside of this cover and to hide, what you have in ghafur is that there is an emphasis with the fa ma'a shadda, right? With this fa, that the second letter has a strengthening movement to it. Shadda, the little symbol that gives something, like we call it that double or thing, right? It makes something a double of something. That even in the definition of shadda, which comes from the word shadid, shadda, right? Shaddada. It comes from something saying it's giving something strength, meaning it's giving an emphasis to what's happening. So in this divine attribute of Allah, it's one that He is protecting, He is forgiving of the sin, but in the forgiveness there is protection. Right? So when you do something wrong, right? Let's say you do something wrong. We'll just leave it at that. You do something wrong, and you go and you seek forgiveness for this thing that you've done. You can seek forgiveness, and the person can forgive you. And we have that statement that we like to say, "I can forgive you, but I can't forget." Well, that's forgiveness without protection. Right? If you want to forgive someone, yeah, okay, I forgive you. It's not an issue anymore. I'm not gonna harp on it. But if you still treat me poorly, if you don't allow for me to return to a certain state and receive from you now a certain level of protection from the wrongs that I have committed, that's not ghafur. This is what Allah. And now please know There is a reality of our attributes, of Allah's attributes, that the human being has the capacity to live within. That's the point, right? Allah is Al-Ghafur, right? He is the one that has the capacity to forgive and to provide a level of protection inside of his forgiveness like no one else. No other entity, no other thing, nothing in existence has the capacity to forgive at the level that Allah forgives, and through his forgiveness provide for you a protection from that which you sinned upon. That's why you seek Allah's Ghafur. You're not just saying, oh, Allah, I did something wrong and I need you to help me because I did it wrong. I just need you to forgive me. You don't just need Allah to forgive you for the thing. You need Allah to forgive you in the Ghafur, and then you need him to turn around and protect you from doing it again. Isn't that what we seek? That's what we desire. So when we're saying, say, Astaghfirullah, you're saying, oh, Allah, forgive me and please protect me from doing this thing again. Allah, forgive me and stop me from moving into that mindset and that thinking and that action again. That's what we're seeking. We're seeking both that forgiveness and that protection. That's the emphasis. That's what Allah gives inside of that reality. So when Allah is giving to us in this divine attribute of his, it literally is protecting us from committing those sins again over and over, right? So that's why we see Ghafur. We want Allah to drive it. We want him to emphasize the effort of forgiving us in that regard. So let's go to Ash-Shakur, right? Because then we're going to take a look at an ayah in the Quran, because you will see oftentimes Al-Ghafur and Ash-Shakur together, right? There are many attributes that we see them paired oftentimes together a lot. And so Allah, once again, there's no happenstance with Allah, right? Everything has meaning and understanding. I caution myself when I say that, because we can become philosophers here. The African American Muslim, I have to love us. All we're on, and that doesn't, you don't fit that boat. You're here because you love us too. Because there's this thing that nothing escapes us. We say, MashaAllah, if Allah showed it to me, right, there is wisdom in the thing. And then sometimes we find all kinds of wisdom, right? So MashaAllah, so this is reality, right? This is Quran. How that when Allah is placing the things together, he's giving emphasis, right? He's giving emphasis on that reality of these two things being paired. So here in Ash-Shakur, right? Ash-Shakur is our next one. And Ash-Shakur is the idea is to say this is to give thanks, coming from Shakara, right, is our root. And once again, you're going to find Ash-Shakur, okay? Ash-Shakur has a reality of Allah's attributes, but then there's other, right, of this idea of thankfulness and this certain level of gratitude here that Allah presents himself still in another light. And in the slight differences, this particular one here, Allah can be grateful, right? Allah is thankful for his servant that delivers out very small things of goodness, right? Allah literally says in the Quran that the reward of any good that you do, male or female, it's not lost. So I'm saying it doesn't matter, right? That weight of a mustard seed, the smallest of things, of inklings, of good thoughts, of movements, of actions that you think so small, that Allah is the one who is grateful for those things. But here in the Shakur, Allah is also showing a thankfulness, a gratitude for even the biggest of things. Neither one of them get lost. So the person who we say, there may be someone who has lots and lots of money, right? And there are rich people with lots and lots of money, right? Lots and lots of wealth. And so let's say Bill Gates came through and gave us $500,000 for study at Islam, right? Warren Buffett, we'll choose Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett came and gave study at Islam $500,000 to continue the good work of propagating Al-Islam, good and true, And we would say, MashaAllah, that would be a big reality, right, for us. $500,000 for study at Islam, that would be great, right? Do some things with it. And sometimes when people give, we relate, what we do, right, the human being, we'll come through and we'll say that would be a big donation versus the other donations. Look at all the other donations, right? Say, MashaAllah, $500,000, that's a pretty good donation. We sometimes will look at it and be like, yeah, that was a big donation, but it could have been bigger. That's what we'll say, right? This is the small mind of the human being, right? Sometimes, right? Sometimes the state that we find ourselves in, that state that we find ourselves when we do things like that, are ones of kafur, right? So there is the opposite of shakara. The opposite of shakur is kafara, right? Look in the Quran. Allah, when Allah goes through in the Quran and he's explaining those who are grateful and then he's explaining those who are ungrateful, the terms that are used are shakara and kafara. That's what's used. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using it in the Quran to say what is shakur, what is the opposite of the shakur is kafur. So if someone delivers out a big donation, I don't care, don't you decide for them what the bigness is for them, right? The reality is what does it mean for you? Because if somebody came and gave me $1 million and they had billions, and they could have given me $1 billion and it not did anything to them, right? For me, it's still a very big deal. I'm being very, very grateful. So that big level of thankfulness that Allah displays for the big things that people do, it's on that level. It's saying that whatever seeing how great it could be, that sometimes it gets lost on the human being, whether because we are starting to relate the big things to other things and we decide that it's not so big, or some things are so big that are done for you and I, that your understanding of being grateful for them may not even be there. You may not even have an awareness of how grateful you should be because you didn't even see the thing. That's how big it was. You do know there is a possibility for something to be so big that it loses space and concept in order for you to see it. You didn't see it because what you were looking at was a white wall. That's what you thought it was. Until your vision comes back out and you come up high enough to see what it is, and now you realize what the thing is. That's just how big it was. Well, Allah's level of shakur, he has a level that it could stand out to the widest of wide, and Allah is saying that Allah has the ability to be grateful for that reality, and when Allah is grateful for that which his servants do, what does he do? He rewards them. If you're really grateful, right? If you're really grateful to people, you show gratitude. It presents itself as a reality. Allah's attributes are one that Allah is delivering to us an idea that presents in reality. So Allah isn't just saying, oh, I'm thankful, and then my thankfulness, that's where it ends. Allah telling you, I'm so grateful for all the little things that you do. That's not what Allah does. Allah is giving us this attribute of himself so we can understand that even the smallest of good, Allah has a gratitude for it, and he delivers to us reward for that. Even the biggest of realities that other people may not be able to see that you do. There are things that each of us may be doing that provides extreme benefit for people. And because of where they are in scope and understanding, they don't even know that you're benefiting them. They don't even know that you are giving to them goodness after goodness after goodness. But because you are doing it, it is not for them to see, but it is for Allah to reward. And that is what he does. That's why he explains to you of his attribute. You be concerned about Allah's attribute, not about the attributes of the people. That's going to lead you somewhere, right? It might lead you to the opposite of the thing. You start saying, I can't do this anymore because you're ungrateful. No, you are the ungrateful one. Be grateful for Allah's attribute of saying Allah sees it all, right? And He will reward it all. Alhamdulillah. So let's go to the last one. Al-Ali. And then we'll come to our, inshallah. Al-Ali. So Al-Ali, right, is our, and once again, we've utilized these. So these aren't attributes that we haven't heard, right? We just don't always spend the contemplation time on them, right? You can hear it, you can see it, you can even utilize it, right? But sometimes with contemplation, it brings about more understanding, right, and greater benefit. So even for us, even after we do this, right, we go through this for our 99 attributes in the Shahr Ramadan, but later we're going to do, like, you may play them back, right? You may be sitting one day, and I'm saying you can sit and contemplate on each of these, your own self, and go to Allah, and Allah will deliver to you out even more from them. Now that gives us a little bit of al-adi. So this comes from the root, right? It has within it what's called a quote unquote weak letter, right? They only call it weak letters because they change, right? They're not as firm in their existence, not because they're weak, like, and that letter is weak, can't do anything. No, the reason I say that is because you got to be careful, right? What happens is that the letter has the capacity to change and to do different things depending upon what is necessary of it, right? Depending upon what is necessary of it. So that's why it's called that thing. But if we understand the reality, there's a strength in that movement. It's because it has a movement. It has a change because it's necessary to change. Well, in this idea of ala, right? Ali, right, is the attribute, is that it comes from this root, right? So the alif lam, alif waw, yeah, right, depending upon what is going on with it, is where we find this particular attribute. And on this attribute, when we deliver it out, oftentimes, Ali, right, we say this is the highest of things, the most lofty, right? This, for Allah is A'la, right? The most high in reality. And then Ali, the most high one, right? The one reality that when you can think of reality, that every single process of growth that you develop to. So when you want to see, and you have this perception that we just talked about, and you come out and you were grateful, and you were at one stage of gratefulness, and you could see things and you were grateful, but then you were receiving so many other benefits and blessings and you didn't see those. But then Allah expanded your capacity, your understanding, your consciousness, right? Your regard and consciousness of Him. And then you became more aware of what you should be grateful for, the benefits and all of these things. So your vision got better and you came up, right? You were elevated. You came up higher. This is what happens. I'm saying, look at the concept. Then you keep increasing, right? And you keep being this entity, right? As a person, as a human being, as both physical, as a mind, as a mental capacity, and then as a spirit, right? That you keep increasing in all of these realities, and you keep going higher and higher and higher. Well, Allah is al-alim, meaning that every time you move, you have to have a concept of Allah, that Allah is the one who is it doesn't matter how many movements and traverses that we make, Allah is forever, right? The one that is higher and most high in the reality. Every single time you move and Allah keeps pulling you. You move and Allah keeps pulling you. So even when we think about concepts, ideas, and people and realities, we think about science and growth and advancement, that Allah is al-alim. that every time Allah is over and most high of that reality. It doesn't matter if the reality exists now and it will exist later and it didn't exist now. It doesn't matter where the action moves in its height. Allah is Al-Alim, the highest one of existence. And so there can only be one highest one. There is no reality of the highest of one where there is two. So Al-Alim is driving into us the thought process that the whole of creation can move up and higher and move and advance and go, and that Allah is still Al-Alim forever. That it doesn't matter. You can look at people, you can deal with people, you can even deal in your own progress. And the thinking on Al-Ali will send you down into sajda. And I don't care how high you get. Which is why when Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he's descended up into the heavens, he's descended past all of the prophets that came before him, alayhim salam. And when he gets there, what does he do? But lead them in prayer. Why? Because there's nothing to do when you get up but to come down to Allah in sajda. Nothing. The whole movement and the being does nothing but do that. It gets up there and then it remembers Al-Ali. And the whole being and the reality comes down into sajda. That's what Al-Ali will do, right? That's what we do. Even when you're down in sajda, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. This is what I'm saying. This whole idea, I'm saying this is where we're moving. That's a different one, but we'll leave that. All right, so alhamdulillah. So let us go to our ayat. Let's go to our ayat. So we're just going to use 42. I wanted to try to use some that we've read already, but this is a little bit more concise in delivery. So Surah 42 is going to be our surah, right? Which we all love. We had at the primary surah here in Little Rock. It was a great meeting too. If you've ever been to a shura meeting and everything is truly decided upon shura, it's a powerful thing, right? There was no voting. There was no, it truly was a conversation until consensus was reached. This is shura. So alhamdulillah. So here, Allah in Surah Al-Surah, in ayat number 21. So here, this is where we have the reality of, make sure I'm, oh no, okay, so we're in a different spot here. Okay, so 23 is where we want to be. So in ayat number 23, and I'm just going to read it in English. He says, it's talking about the bounty of Allah. It says, that is whereof Allah gives glad tidings to his servants who believe and do righteous deeds. Say, no reward do I ask of you for this except the love of those near of kin. And if anyone earns any good, we shall give him an increase of good in respect thereof. For Allah is oft forgiving, most ready to appreciate service. So this is where it says at the end of this, Inna Allaha ghafurun shakur, right? So this is where we have together. So this is what I mean by when you read through and you're reading in the Arabic, and it's going to be necessary for you to read it in the Arabic, right? Go back and forth, look at it. And when you read it in the Arabic, Allah is saying, Ghafurun shakur, Ghafurun shakur, Ghafurun shakur. Kind of like wa'ati'i wa'iqama salat wa'ati'i zakat, right? So when Allah is saying, stand in salat and give in charity, right? Those things are constantly together. Well, you, right, even when you hear it in the Arabic, when I say Ghafur and Shakur, many of you hear that and it registers in your memory bank of understanding Allah's attributes, right? So Allah is placing together the idea of forgiveness, and now remember what we talked about, forgiveness and protection from that thing and going again, and this gratitude of big things, okay? So there's one reality for us, and that is to understand that Allah's protection, Allah's forgiveness and protection from continuing into that wrong thing, that it deserves from us a great level of gratitude. That when we seek the forgiveness, that we're seeking Allah's forgiveness, then we're knowing that Allah is going to forgive us and keep us and protect us from that wrong thing. And then we should be, for that level of ghafur, we should be returning to Allah with a big understanding of gratitude. That's a big reality that Allah just did for us. That's not a small thing for Allah to forgive you and then stop you and keep you and protect you from doing that thing again. So our gratitude has to be big. We have to show it. And when we're grateful, when Allah is showing his gratitude for us, what does Allah do? Allah gives again. He does again. He rewards you again. He never stops, which is why Allah says in the rewards in the line before in the same ayah is that when they deliver this good thing, that I'm going to increase them in the good. So how do you show Allah that you are grateful for him not returning you back to the wrong thing that he forgave you for? You come back with a big level of gratitude by continuing to do good and do more good. You don't stop and say, MashaAllah, this level got me here, so I'm going to stay at this level. No, what you say is this level got me here and I'm so grateful to Allah. My shakur is so big. What Allah did for me is so huge that I have to deliver out with more goodness than I've ever done before. Which leads us to Ali. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allah is good all the time, right? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We are grateful to Allah. We praise Allah. Allah is the one who keeps bringing us up, and changing our consciousness, changing our view, increasing. We can only say Subhanallah, right? So then it goes to Ali. At the beginning of Surah Al-Shura 42, it starts off, right? This particular surah starts off with 5 quote-unquote mystic letters. 5 mystic letters, right? So the 5 mystic letters. So then you go on and it says, thus does Allah send inspiration to you as he did to those before you. Allah exalted in power, full of wisdom. Once again, there are some more of Allah's attributes. And then Allah says, to him belongs all that is in the heavens and on earth, and he is most high, most great. So when Allah is referencing the idea in this majesty of his, that he said, to him belongs all that is in the heavens and on earth. So this Ali of Allah, that it is one that it goes over the whole reality. And in the Arabic, Allah says, wa huwal aliyyul azim. These are two you see together a lot as well. Aliyyul azim. Aliyyul azim. Allah is the most at the highest pinnacle. Even after you've come and you've increased the good, you become, you just think every time Allah forgives you and you realize, you get a bigger view of yourself and you realize some of the things that you were doing were incorrect, that you shouldn't be doing them. You look at other people and they look at you and try to do some type of comparison and they're thinking, you don't do any wrong, you're good. That's not how the thing works. MashaAllah, I did. Wow. That's the measure. No, the measure is with Allah. And you want to be constantly moving closer and nearer to Allah. That's a movement that it moves. It literally, you can do this movement. Well, when you do this movement and this increase happens and you're going, that Allah is letting us know that Allah, everything on this earth and in the heavens it belongs to him. Ah, we belong to Allah. Even the ones who are not moving in the right direction, them going in the other direction, right? They still, every piece of it belongs to Allah. And this is why as you move, Allah is over that thing, because you can never move outside of that reality. Because Allah is over the whole of the thing. And so then Allah places with that Aliyul Azim, right? The most high and the most great, right? So there are some things that are high and there are other things that are great. But I have to leave Al-Azim for that person who has that attribute. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum.